Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Insights. This episode marks the very first episode of the War League. With the War League coming out, the plan is for Insights to do exactly half of all of the shoutcasts for the War League. So that is to say, every game between each set, one of the two games will be casted by Insights, and hopefully we will have the other shoutcasters of the mod also doing shoutcasts for the other games. That would be the ideal situation. So expect 4 a week. Um, and besides for that, we can just go ahead and get right into this. This episode is UK Power Max, Rockfist, and um, who was it? Underpants versus Tommy slash Will, Alex, and Ashfall. And these 6 players are all, I think, some of the more played members of the mod. They are definitely experienced. They are, because of the War League, going to be playing very well together. At least that is the hope. The strategies are supposed to synergize. The companies are supposed to have been built with each other's companies in mind. And I think we're going to get some really unique play out of this. Mistakes, most of all, are probably going to be minimized. So I'm very confident that this is going to be an extremely good game. I've heard that this is supposed to be an extremely good game, and we'll see. We'll definitely see if this is going to be some very good new strategy for OMG mod that we're gonna get to watch. And immediately you can see a Panther start, which I think is probably very strong as long as your teammates know that they intend to start with a Panther. UK Power Max has made his way over the line already. You can see that the Axis are consolidating. They want to group up for some reason, whereas the Allies are taking control of the map for the most part. A very strong push forward just to immediately begin taking territory at such a level. The Axis are already constrained. Their mobility that they're gained from these half tracks and from the Panther is being minimized.
Enemy unit down.
This is starting to look like a mess for the Axis immediately. I'm sure they can recover quite easily, but at the moment, these are some very, very good engagements that the Allies have forced. The Panther can't really comfortably get into the fight yet. There's just too much handheld AT that is going to mess the Panther up very, very quickly. And unfortunately, the Panther, despite, I'm certain, having taken quite a few shots, is still at 0 kills. It's just missing.
Enemy unit down.
Oh, it's a beautiful shot there, although he ran into a button. Let's see what happens. Great trap by Rockfist. Rock's got to get those troops up there, though. The Piats aren't going to be able to do much at max range, hitting clearly the frontal armor of a Panther. Ooh, Stormtroopers caught out. Can't Underpants. It's usually a much better idea just to try and run over Stormtroopers. They're extremely high health. And for this special episode of Insights, I will be removing the normal constraints of not watching both sides of the map, so we will be shifting over at some point.
Enemy unit
and
down.
I will be taking a look at who has how much stuff left. The Axis are clearly being pressed a little bit for new call-ins, whereas the Allies have the leisure of not needing to bring on new stuff quite yet. Underpants has a very large company compared to his teammates. Oh, never mind. UK Power Max as well also has a large team company. Let's take a look at the Axis. Will still has on his starting call-in, and I think this is honestly a little bit weaker of a starting call-in than I imagined it would come out to be when I first saw the Panther start. I was very excited, but the bike wasn't really utilized, and the Pioneers I don't think are necessary. I think that's just an add-on due to pop constraints. Ashfall is now 2 reinforcement call-ins in, and he's already starting with a disadvantage in terms of call-ins. I'm seeing a distinct lack of support weapons by the Axis, which is very surprising. No Axis machine guns are on the field right now. Ooh. It looks like the Strex have managed to get caught out immediately. That's 250 munitions denied by a machine gun. This mortar abstract should certainly be getting into the action with the rest of the troops. And besides for holding the cap, you can kind of tell that the rest of Will's start isn't really meant to be. The bike is not scouting, and the Pios are sitting very safely inside of a house. Oh, the machine gun is gone. Hopefully, we will see Alex managing to get it off the map. No reinforcements coming in quite yet. Great pack gun hit. I'm surprised to see that the Allies did not reinforce to the left harder when the engagement began, and the machine gun's been grabbed, so that will go to the Axis side of the map. I think if this Staghound, oh, it's a brand new Staghound. Okay. UK brought in some rifles after losing the Sherman. Let's see what else. So very basic gameplay so far. Nothing too fancy. The biggest thing we've seen was the hyper-aggressive start by UK PowerMax, where without any hesitation he pushed forward on his side of the map. And for some reason, I think the Axis misdeployed their troops to begin with because they were not defending the middle road. It should be fairly easy to deny the enemy as long as you're prepared for that. But if they just walk over before you even get there, well, that's a different story. That's exactly what UK did. Usually when you start a game, you want to make sure that you are rushing forward as quickly as possible to get to that halfway point to deny any potential hyper-aggressive maneuvers that might reward the enemy instead of punish them. Another Sherman from UK, and what I'm very interested to see about these Shermans is he's using them without the MG upgrade, which means he's clearly got something else in mind for the munitions in the company. That's 150 munitions he's saved so far, but the Sherman 50 cal has a very clear role on the Sherman of suppression in big fights and unit criticals for exactly these moments. All these units would likely be getting killed right now by the 50 cal. Not immediately, but it would only take the 50 cal about 4 to 5 bursts to finish off every last one of those units. a very interesting lack of use of the map by both sides. I don't know if this is an intentional decision by the two teams to try and consolidate directly into the town. Usually teams don't want to fight in the town area. Maneuverability is a little bit more difficult. Just naturally lends itself more to chaos. Oh, and a Berg Tiger already brought on by the Axis.
Enemy unit down.
UK, I think, popped repair kits a little bit too late. If the Axis penetrates... No, not going to happen, actually. The Sherman is definitely going to survive.
Unit down.
The one weakness of the repair rounds is just how slowly it's repairing. It'll repair for quite a while, but if you lose the Sherman at the very beginning of the repair rounds, obviously it's accomplished nothing. Oh, and that was a tough miss on the Panzer IV. Surprising the stat count is not going to try and circle strafe. It might be able to survive just due to that. And a pack gun is open on the field. The Axis are not responding at all. There is a machine gun right here. No, this is going to become an allied pack gun. That is a huge, huge gain for the Allies. If they can manage to get that out of there, a complete game changer. No, not quite. Are there any troops to get over there and grab it? At best, the Piats could grab it, but that is quite the risk to take. I would still do it personally, but I can understand that not every player feels that way. You have to keep in mind, though, the sheer cost of a pack gun. 450 manpower and 180 munitions. Even if you are losing 60 munitions and 150 manpower by picking it up with 3 Piats, or 3 sappers of a 4-man Piat squad, that is still a very worthwhile trade. Not to mention, when the Axis already have a Panther on the field, the pack gun is maybe the best weapon in the game against the Panther for the guaranteed penetration.
Enemy unit down.
But it's looking like UK did not need it. He's going to be able to grab the pack gun regardless with these riflemen in a moment here. More riflemen on the way, along with some repairs. I think the Allies are quite honestly dominating the field at the moment. I know that the Axis still have plenty of room to maneuver with. They can certainly turn this game around, but with a pack gun in the Allied hands, the town very safely won over by the Allies.
Enemy unit down.
An AVRE is on the field, but it doesn't seem to be costing the Allies very much. Everything just seems to be going the American way. And now this 0.50 cal Sherman has 17 kills. That is impressive.
Enemy unit down.
Of course, it is shooting Volksgrenadiers. Ooh, and the pack gun is going to get shots on a Panther. That is big. The AVRE doesn't seem to be responding. They definitely have plenty of AT. Oh, is there a button back up? Oh, and the pack gun micro. You hate to see it. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. In fact, does it cloak? That's interesting. Why did it not shoot? No, he did need it. That was a very, very big missed opportunity.
Enemy unit down.
I think the Axis are doing an excellent job of ensuring that the Allies aren't having any moments to breathe. They have taken quite a bit of ground. They've taken support weapons, but it's obvious the Allies haven't taken the time to go heal. They haven't taken any time to repair. The Axis are keeping up the fight for as much as they can. I don't think they're taking too heavy of losses despite how out of position they constantly are. And that is a very, very good sign for the Axis. Despite them, generally speaking, losing more than the Allies are right now, they are keeping up a solid match to ensure that the Allied advantage stays slim. This triage placement, I do not agree with at all. I'm going to go out and say right now the triage should have gone up on the front lines. The Allies can afford to take the loss. It would have helped secure the Allied advance quite a bit. They wouldn't have had to reset nearly as hard. Ooh, huge hit on the AVRE. Is it going to take the shot? Ooh, that's a tough miss. A lot of potential there. Oh, that's a very, very tough miss. That AVRE was a dud, to say the least. Excellent work by Will, ensuring. And another triage. I don't think that was necessary. I have to disagree with UK a lot here. If this triage had gone behind this house with the medic station, even the one to the left as well, you already have a backline triage. You don't need a second one. If your units need to go and take 30 seconds to go get healed, and then another 30 seconds to come back to the fight, that's a bad sign. And I don't think, while the Axis are keeping up extremely good pressure, I do not think that the Allies have to make that decision quite yet. I don't think they have to be that worried about backline incursions that are going to be destroying assets like the triage center.
Enemy unit down.
Take a look at this from the Axis perspective. So this Panther is still on the field. It's doing pretty decent for health. It's only actually... I mean, it's actually got more health than Alex's Panther, because while Alex's Panther technically has a higher maximum health, its potential health, once it gets to the same percentage repair as Tommy's Panther, it will be much lower. I have to say though, I don't think 2 Panthers is the way to go when you're being pushed this hard by the Allies. The Axis, I was just the Axis I was just praising for their infantry consistency in putting pressure and keeping the Allies from getting a reset, but that seems to have happened at this point. And the double Panthers, I think, are the big reason for that. I think if you had traded one of them out instead for a Panzer IV, the increased infantry killing power will have made a very, very large difference in this game. Huge infantry fight going on here, and I'm extremely surprised by the lack of response by the Axis at the moment. They are not throwing any bodies in here. The reinforcements are now coming in, and if the reinforcements can get there in time, it'll still be able to save the machine gun. But it's going to be close. A Pekka is probably going to get a shot on this Panther. Yeah, there it is. sniper has been opened up. Oh, and a mortar bunker on the right side of the map. I'm wondering if the Axis intent is to try and drag the play into this right side of the map. I don't know if they're going to be that successful trying to accomplish that. Huge misses by these Shreks. The Shreks potentially could have knocked out... Well, Rockfist was very quick to get out of there, so I do not believe there was any potential to kill the 17th Pounder there. But it was still a shame to see 3 Shreks miss like that. The mortar bunker now takes an extremely long time to get set up, so if the Axis can successfully pull the Allies into fighting in this town area, the mortar bunker's dominance will give the Axis the advantage they need. But I just don't know if the Allies can be fooled into doing it. It's going to be tough. You can see the infantry movements working now, though. They will set the seeds for pulling the battle into this direction. If the Axis can get this territory, it will likely elicit a response. Now, the normal response that I would suggest to my teammates is to grab this territory, which the Allies have already done because the Axis are not trying to... ooh, an MG42 just left out in the open. This should definitely be getting fought over. The Axis are not trying to contest this territory. Because this territory is lost, I just don't think this plan has any potential at this point. Oh, rough. Clive, who's been brought on by UK Power Max. I think that is a very huge waste of the team captain's role. I don't think a team captain should be utilizing such huge amounts of populations. Throw that on one of your weaker players, and ideally, as long as they're taking the same shot you'd recommend them to take, it's going to have the same result while the captain can utilize more aggressive population. Oh, and a Firefly as well. There is 2 Panthers on, so there's some logic to this, but I think it's a little overkill. Especially with the Storm Shreks on the field. The Allies know that this is going to be risky. And I think most of all, this sniper, who has been getting pretty consistent shots in, is... Between the sniper, a Calliope, and a Firefly, the Allies are balancing a lot of population that does not stand up and fight. If the Axis bring on a critical mass of tools that can directly get in the face of the Allies, I think the Allies are going to be in a lot of trouble. Still doing a good job, though, of dragging the play to the right side of the field. They are losing the left side of the field quite rapidly, but the Axis are now playing around the mortar bunker, and that should help a little bit. 17 pounder, probably a pack gun back here. The Axis definitely know they need to stay away. Ooh, and this mortar is in quite a bit of trouble. Yep. Gotta have your screening infantry out. You can't put special units. Oh, this is gonna be huge. That's the lieutenant. Immediately the mortar, I mean the mortar had already paid for itself, so it's not that like that was the issue. Perhaps if Ashfall didn't want to have the population of the mortar on the field anymore and saw that it has run its course, then that was the right move, because he dragged Rockfist's blob into his backfield, which enabled him to pick off that lieutenant. Probably a pretty big loss, a much bigger loss for the Allies in that situation than the Axis, as long as the Axis wanted to lose that mortar bunker, sorry, mortar half-track. Storm Shreks are going to pass up getting a free shots on the AT gun, and they're instead going to go for... Oh, It looks to be this Firefly. Quite a few mortars on the field, at least in this location. And the sniper, 8 kills. I think that they probably could be playing a little bit riskier with the sniper. At least from the Axis perspective, it's looking like the Axis aren't pressuring it too much. If there were more stormtroopers running around, I would get the hesitation. But the current stormtroopers that the Allies are aware of, and of course that the Axis actually have, are only Panzerschreck stormtroopers, which would be very unlikely to chase a sniper around. In fact, the Panzerschreck stormtroopers are significantly more expensive than the sniper. Alright, so there goes this triage. And what's funny is if the Allies had put their triage up close, behind this hedge, behind this building, it would be in less risk than this triage is back here. If Will finds this triage back here, then putting one back there at the very beginning was all for nothing. Although it's looking like he's going to miss it. And this is the downside of improper scouting. And let me rephrase that. It wasn't improper scouting. This is the downside of not having dedicated scouting. Because dedicated scouting would have picked that up guaranteed. The stormtroopers instead are the scouts here. Of course, had he gone for it, he would have lost the stormtroopers, and right now he has them despite that. In fact, he's picking up huge kills on these rangers. So, evidently, Will has made the correct decision. Oh, I love this. An Oswin being brought on. This is actually perfect for the Axis at the moment. That stormtrooper. Very direct head-on tank play at the moment. No one's going for any risky flanks. Everyone's playing very safe. I like it because it does show that both teams feel like they have a lot to lose here. But I figured that the League would encourage a bit riskier play. Bold decisions that with high risk, high reward. And this 17-pounder has been noticeably missing from this head-on tank play. This field is a death trap for tanks if there's a 17-pounder on the field. And yet, for some reason, I think that the Axis have run away with this engagement. They lost stormtroopers. They lost, I think, one Panther. But I'm fairly confident if you did all the calculations, the Axis came out far and away ahead in terms of resources spent winning that engagement. So despite this territory disadvantage that the Axis have been put in, currently I think that they are doing an extremely good job of ensuring that the field is completely engaged on, and they are certainly getting higher efficiency for their population. They are getting plenty more kills than their resources that they're spending. The one issue is, of course, that this mortar bunker is very underutilized at the moment. That's 4 population, along with 400 manpower and 100 munitions that were spent to basically protect a dead region of the battle. Oh, Captain, huge risk. This is the problem with... Oh my god. Can he get away? Oh. This is the problem with allowing an Axis tank, or any tank for that matter, to get into your backline, is you never know when it's going to suddenly reappear and cause havoc. And in those situations, it is very common to find unique assets that are going to make your opponent want to rip his hair out. the captain being a huge, huge win. Likely had retreat to captain on him, and that's a lot of munitions lost, not to mention the fact that you cannot get another one. Back to the Allies. As I said before, I think that the Calliope is just... This was just probably the mistake that the Allies have made so far. They've been doing an incredible job of managing to find themselves pack guns and stormtrooper squads. They have not done an incredible job with their big ticket items, though. This Calliope being one of them. The sniper, while it's still alive with 15 kills and clearly wreaking havoc on the Axis, probably could potentially have about 30 kills right now if he was playing it as risky. Of course, it would probably be dead. Oh my gosh, this Bofors, what a fantastic capture.
Enemy unit down.
I'm actually a little confused on what the intent of this engagement is at the moment. It feels too disorganized.
Enemy unit down.
Ooh, the MG was in such a good position because it was very clearly far too away from the sniper to be challenged. Very interesting to know what this Calliope barrage was trying to hit. Nothing. Oh, and the sniper instead went for a pack gun. If the if the Allies picked that up, perhaps this was a victory yet again for the Allies. Although right now, I mean, it's definitely shaping up to be a clear Axis victory. That engagement looked very costly for the Allies. The Axis are managing to put together very big cost victories with 30 less total pop on the field. They are down 10 pop per player. And I'm very, very surprised how much Rockfist is investing in this 17-pounder nest. It is probably a single Shrek shot, maybe 2 Shrek shots. I don't know if wear and tear applies to MG nests or AT gun nests. But the 17-pounder is probably better left either at the triage if it needs to repair, like this pack gun is, or out on the field if it's full health still, the gun. Although of course I guess they do have plenty of guns other than them, 3 in total. So maybe he's right. Maybe he doesn't really need this AT gun nest. Maybe he doesn't need this AT gun outside of this nest. Really doesn't have a use on the field at the moment. And Rockfist is all on, which is a very big deal for the Allies. They have to make sure that they are utilizing Rockfist's pop in the least dangerous way possible. Every lost pop from Rockfist is taking 1 maximum pop off the total Allied field engagement. That is to say, as Rock loses units, the territory disadvantage becomes less and less important because the Allies don't have any more reinforcements for Rock to engage with. UK Power Max disproportionately has 6 call-ins left. I think this is a little bit of a mistake on the Allied side of the field. Let's take a look at the Axis after we see Underpants. Underpants still has 1 left. I think, based off of the play here, I think that's fairly healthy for Rock and Underpants to actually be all on. There was quite a bit of battling going on. Almost non-stop engagements throughout the entire battle. Alex also 15 out of 16. So 1 more reinforcement left. Will 6 reinforcements left. And Ashfall is going to be all on, I assume? Yes, so the Axis have actually completely mimicked what the Allies have here. Both team captains have, I believe, exactly 6 reinforcements left. While one player is all on, and the other one has 1 reinforcement left. That's very interesting. I think as the 2 teams continue to play together, they're going to synergize a little bit closer to each other, which is going to enable them to be all on together and still have reinforcements left at a equal amount. You can see how much the slowdown has affected the pace for both teams not having reinforcements left on 1 player, which is greatly going to favor the Allies because they have 3 mortars on. One of them and a Calliope. And UK has also brought a Jeep. I think this is probably one of the best units to have on in a situation like this. The only engagements right now are the Flak 88 just taking pot shots at an emplacement, and the occasional mortar finding a target that is on the move and unlikely to get hit. The Allies also have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 population of repairs. You can see just how lacking they are in remaining infantry. UK Power Max is likely to have a few call-ins left, although he has 35 pop on, so he can't bring that infantry without just removing units for no reason. But I don't think that Underpants' last call-in is going to be infantry. No, it's bikes. Very, very, very missed opportunity with that Jeep by UK Power Max. Unfortunate, to say the least. Although this should be a clear Allied victory. If they move the pack gun up, they move the 17-pounder up, the Crocodile should be able to just roll in, put the flame on these Volks for about 3 seconds, and all 5 Volks will likely die. And there wouldn't be any risk. I'm surprised they didn't go for it. While that MG was shooting, the Jeep swooped around and slightly pushed the Volksgrenadiers around. That would have been the death of all 5 Volksgrenadiers as well. And UK could definitely spare the pop. He needs to get his infantry on. Whatever remaining infantry UK has left need to find its way on the field.
Enemy unit down.
Oh man, the lack of infantry is costing this engagement severely. Funnily enough, I think it's pretty clear that the Axis are actually the ones who are more synergized together right now. Um, Despite the Axis having, I think, more of a mess of remaining units, they are fighting head-on quite well and are challenging the Allied defensive line without taking head-on losses into a defensive line normally. I mean, usually breaking something like this is going to cost you quite a bit if you're trying to go directly into it. But the Axis are actually trading very evenly. Right now, because Will has 6 platoons left, I would take all of my remaining troops as Will, and I would go swoop down the right side of the field. It's risky, but it also has a huge potential reward. This is very good Jeep play. That's a big asset removal for the Allies. Stormtroopers at this stage of the game are a menace. They can pick off the remaining support weapons very, very easily. The Allies do not have enough units to cover all of their guns. And what that means is that by getting rid of these stormtroopers, that is one less squad that they have to worry about sneaking up, taking out a mortar, or taking out an engineer team. Likely a demo truck. UK Power Max is very well known for his asset removal trucks that will deny the enemy their repair bunkers. Oh man, the block is unreal. Very unfortunate team play right there. I really liked what they had going for them. Calling to have both players micro one unit in tandem for an attack is actually really a lot easier than 2 players normally. I'm shocked to see that it ended so poorly for the half-track getting blocked quite like that. The easiest way to get a sniper in the world is when you have one player use the jeeps and another player use the infantry in tandem with one another. When you have a player having to use both the jeeps and the infantry, you tend to just not have enough micro in such a short period of time. The game is suddenly picking up with infantry moving forward by both sides at different areas. I'm very surprised the Allies are trying to play in this region. All of their guns are up here, and I think that means that they need to get their scouting units up here, and they need to get their they need to try and pull the Axis tanks into this direction. Another Calliope barrage. Honestly, if I was UK, I would just pull the Calliope off. It is not accomplishing what the Allies need. UK has the remaining assets. Any reinforcements at this point are coming from UK Power Max, and that means he needs to be utilizing his units. And there's really no way to use a Calliope off cooldown unless you are flat just trying to run people over, and that is basically impossible when you have a Panther, a P4, and a Flak 88 on the field. Not to mention, the Allies have no idea that the Axis don't have any pack guns left. So Will is going to try this, it looks like. He's going to just bring a P4 on this side of the field. He's going to play risky with it. But if you look at what the Allies have, you're going to see pretty quickly that unless he runs into the range of an AT gun, there is nothing that can challenge him in all of this backfield. There's no mobile units. The closest thing would be a Crocodile, and so as long as he was playing relatively safe with it, The Allied backfield could be Axis owned. I think both teams are a little bit too scared to mess up at the moment, and that is what's keeping the play so constrained. These final all-ons mean that both sides want the other side to push forward, and there's a new sniper on the field. This is huge. If this sniper walks up and finishes off the Flak 88, there is nothing. There's absolutely nothing that will recrew it. Oh, there's one Grenadier squad. I mean, the Allies right now could go up, snipe this MG, and I think that should be game if they can get this 88 on their side. And there it is. That's the opening shot for what could be possibly the most decisive engagement of the entire game. The Axis did not have enough stuff to defend an 88. I think the 88 probably should have been moved a while ago during the lull, because it's clear the Axis wanted to try and push this right side of the field. Are the Allies going for it, though? Or do they not realize just how open? They destroyed it! They just didn't have the infantry for it. I would definitely have used the engineers and grabbed it instead. But I'm also a bit more aggressive than the UK Power Max style of play. And I think, goes without saying, most players appreciate the UK Power Max style of play on their team than they do the Robbie Man style of play. So. This sniper just needs to be going at it non-stop. What is going on here? Very lucky for Ashfall for that pack gun to shoot. And a little tip here for all you players who are interested in that kind of thing. The kind of players who would join the mentor program instead of hide from it. You can actually, if you have a enemy tank backing up into your pack gun, don't take the first shot from cloak, because the second shot will still cloak as long as you've only taken a single shot. And so what you can do is you can hit the rear armor with the first shot, which will penetrate because it's rear armor. And remember, rear armor does not give you extra damage, it just gives you extra penetration. And then if the tank shows its frontal, by the time you're getting the second shot off, you can cloak and you get that guaranteed penetration. Very interested to see what the final 3 call-ins by UK are. And why it is that he wants to keep these engineers on. A Pershing! That is why he wants to keep the engineers on. Of course UK Power Max has a Pershing. Nobody would have ever suspected the opposite. It would be impossible. That is disappointing, actually. I'm disappointed. UK should have called off that Calliope ages ago, brought this Pershing on. The Axis just didn't have the right setup for a Calliope to flourish. They were playing very, very well and spread out, maximizing their field presence. If the Calliope had been on at the very beginning, when the Axis were extremely consolidated, that would have been a different story. But of course, it's a terrible time to ever bring out a Calliope in the early game. I think because UK has these massive ticket items left, the Axis are going to have an extremely hard time recovering. But let's see what Will has left as well. Oof. Huge already blow. I think this game looks deceptively closer than it really is. The Allies could very easily push the Axis out of this territory. The last remaining infantry should be as good as dead with just some simple Jeep scouting. The Allies don't have to press their advantage right now on the Axis. They could snipe this AT gun and just walk in. The Pershing could mop up both of these tanks. They're so low health. But they don't have to. And in fact, pushing into the mortar bunker has to be the last thing you'd want to do as the Allies right now. Because even though still the Axis should win this, the Allies should win this without any hesitation, the mortar bunker is the one asset the Axis have remaining that is possibly going to change this battle. The AT gun has been sniped out, although the Axis just brought in new reinforcements. Ooh, there goes that Panther. Luckily, the Axis also just brought on Pioneers. That'll probably be utilized. UK cannot be happy about this at all. Extremely good play by the Axis. Will has brought the Grenadiers, forced the sniper away from the AT gun, and the AT gun is just getting shot after shot. There isn't actually anything at this point stopping the Pershing from being able to circle strafe. Risky play, but again, extremely smart. Will does not ever let the he's got a plan, basically. You know, he's willing to try whatever it takes. Oh no, a repair bunker. The same way that the Allies put their triage center down way too soon and way too far back for the game, the Axis have waited way too long to bring out a repair bunker. They've had tanks sitting around all game. And another AT gun. This is just how thin the Allies are playing at the moment. Where is all the Allied infantry? Why are these engineers not scouting out the map? There is no reason that those Grenadiers should have been able to run up and just pick up a pack gun. That pack gun potentially is going to give the Axis another opportunity to win this game. I don't think the Allies realize just how thin the Axis are on AT. If they had just, before doing this attack, killed every last AT gun that they could not crew, which they could crew because they have the engineers for it, although they'd probably lose a lot of capping power from that, so that's not the best idea. If they just killed them, it'd be very different right now. You gotta cover your base near the end of the game. Unreal. The surprises do not stop. Not only did UK Power Max have a sniper left, but so did Tommy. I am mystified. There's the double-edged sword of having big ticket items in the late game is that because they weren't present during the early game when everything was taking hold, they didn't have the opportunity to change the course of the game. So while you can say, oh, it's fantastic that Tommy still has a sniper left, that's really, really good, it can also equally be said that that sniper probably could have been utilized 20 minutes ago. And should it have been utilized 20 minutes ago, I don't think the Axis would be in the same position. I think they would be in a much stronger position. And the pack gun's going to take a shot. This is a big missed opportunity. He's going to take a shot, Sniper is probably going to come looking for this pack gun, and this is the opportunity to get the counter snipe right now. If the sniper had been in position, the only reason why the enemy sniper wouldn't be dead right now is because I would have put that sniper right there where I got the mouse, and the enemy sniper shot from there, which means he cannot shoot him because the mortar bunker's in the way. But this pack gun could theoretically be utilized to bait out that sniper, which it was not. It just didn't happen. Let's see if the enemy sniper shoots anyways, because I don't think UK has any realization that Will has the sniper on. To UK, that'd be impossible. And reasonably so. I think it is slightly silly that the Axis, who are so worn and torn, have a game-changing unit left, like a sniper. The only reason why UK sniper came on so late was because he had brought the Calliope on too early and needed to pull that off. I think when it comes to Will, I think he had just been using his units a little bit too slowly, a little bit too conservatively. His was fighting units. I think he probably should have gone and taken the enemy backfield. Regardless, though, there is still quite a bit of game left here if the enemy counter snipe gets off. No! No! Oh, he pulled it! He's playing for the next game. There is going to be 2 snipers in Will's company next game. Watch out for it. Next set, I should be saying. There will be another game where Will's team will be on the Allies and UK Power Max's team will be on the Axis. But the next time we see Will's team on the Axis, there will be a second sniper. That investment is huge. And Will has done his service to the rest of the teams in this league by killing UK Power Max's sniper just before the game has ended. And so there you have it. The end of the first league game. I think this was. I think it was logical that both teams were this conservative with their unit usage. They played this game defensively. Not what I expected. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of bloodbath games as well. But both of these teams strike me as defensive-styled teams. Will and UK Power Max are the absolute masters when it comes to resource management, ensuring that you always have something left. The kind of style of gameplay where you're pulling off a Pershing with 40 kills and you're bringing out a second one 45 minutes into the game. It's not my style. I certainly do not. I don't condone or to condemn it, but it makes sense that both teams would play this way, given that that's how both players like to play the game. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you continue to watch the World League Shoutcasts. If we don't manage to get 8 every week, then we are at least going to get 4 every week, because that is my plan at the moment with COVID. I will be releasing 1 per every set. There are 10 teams in the tournament, so I'm actually talking about 5 every week. Oof. Yikes. I'm running the tournament, by the way, so I probably know that there's 5. That just didn't click for a moment there because I've been acting like there's been 8 this whole time. But regardless, 5 a week, 5 sets a week, and 10 teams.